Hello, guys.
Hi, and welcome back. We are currently in Norway. Winter is coming in, and Sakira has just turned 3 and 4 months old. We're gonna combine this episode a bit because there hasn't happened too much. Things are happening, but I think we can wrap it up in one episode.
Yes, and the new lifestyle of being a parent has been really hectic for us, so it's been hard to find times when she's asleep and we feel motivated to do this, and that's also a big reason for why this is a combined episode.
Let's get going.
Hey guys, my name is Sylvia, this is Akira, and together with my husband Georg, we're launching a new parental podcast. We've been together for over a decade, and a lot of the time we've been traveling. And in 2019, we started our first company, which also has involved a lot of remote working. As family, business partners, and traveling parents, there is a lot to life which needs balancing. In this podcast, we share month-by-month updates from my daughter's upbringing, from birth and further into her life on the road. Welcome to our new podcast, The Nomadic Parents.
All right, we're starting to settle in our new life as parents. The first 2 months have been passing away really fast, and we are kind of moving into a lifestyle how we want it to be.
Yeah. And in this episode of the Nomadic Parents, we'll talk about having a baby when it's winter, how to bring them out into the snow, some of the challenges we have been facing, and diaper rashes.
And Silva just came back from a trip from Turkey with a friend, which we talked about in our last episode. If you haven't listened into that, go and check it out. But we are, this episode, gonna talk about Christmas times and how we closed into that. But before we start, remember that you can listen to this podcast on Spotify or you can watch it here on YouTube. So if you have any questions, you DM us them on Instagram or YouTube, send us a comment, and we'll make sure to bring them into future episodes.
Yeah. Okay, in every episode of the Nomadic Parents, we bring up 4 topics. It's sleep, cognitive development, physical development, and parenting challenges. What about we jump right into sleep?
I think we can jump into the topics. Yeah, I think that's a good place to start for this time of her life. Definitely something is happening. I mean, you can feel that she's going out from that super toddler stage.
Yeah.
And she is developing some sort of rhythm, and she can sleep longer.
Yes, very long. And she actually had her first ever time where she slept through the whole night. It was my birthday, so I felt like it was a gift, but it hasn't happened since.
But that was at the very, very end of month 4. So don't be expecting this to happen at month 3. You know, this is then they sleep very light still.
Yeah, but all babies are different, and we've been very lucky. She normally falls asleep at around 11 and wakes up at 3 for the first feed, and then another time at 7. And it's been very consistent for these months.
But there is definitely a huge difference between her having that light toddler sleep and falling into a deeper sleep. And that's something you said you want to mention in this episode, that she's actually starting to sleep quite deep.
Yeah.
Because before, just subtle move into the bed and she would be awake.
Yeah.
Now you can actually move a bit.
Yeah. And she is also moving a bit in her sleep and managing to find calmness again and to fall asleep on her own.
What about physical development? She's I feel she has lost lots of her newborn face. Probably she's getting a rounder face. She had, I mean, I think every newborn has a very tired expression. The first weeks, she's definitely completely lost that. Now in month 3, she smiles a lot.
Yeah.
And you can see that she's starting to figure the simplest things out.
Yeah, and you can kind of see her characteristics more at this point. And normally I read a line that the color of the eyes for white-skinned babies is normally blue for the first months, and then at around 6 months you can start to clearly see which color the eyes will be. And for her, they're very blue. And
you're still hoping that they remain blue, right?
so just because I have brown eyes, and as a kid, I always wanted the color of my dad's eyes. So I'm happy to pass it on to her.
A funny thing is, though, that she has been growing out of her first set of clothes, and that has gone so fast.
It's really sad because a lot of the stuff, we haven't bought so much clothes, and a lot of stuff is gifted, and I feel attached to the stuff for her that, like, oh, you got this from your auntie, blah, blah. And then now it doesn't fit anymore, and I don't know what to do with the clothes anymore.
I'll share one dad perspective in this. I knew this would happen. I'm not emotionally attached to the clothes at all. And I think like every dad should try to push for just get 2, 3, 4 basic jumpsuits, and you'll grow out of that 2-month period so fast.
You really don't need much. And we have a lot of clothes we haven't even used.
We didn't buy them. It's all secondhand.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's all about, let's say, surviving in goose eyes. You're changing clothes, you're feeding, you're changing diapers. Until month 3 and 4, you aren't really dressing up to be somewhere or anything. So you really just
really practical.
Keep on rotating on those 4 jumpsuits, and whatever is the most practical, you go for.
Especially here in Norway, where it's so cold and now it's winter, we just put her in wool. We have like 3 wool jumpsuits, and that's basically what she's wearing.
Let's talk a bit about more about that. I think we can touch it more in future episodes, but how do you feel about going into winter? I mean, we just moved into winter and Christmas during this month 3 and 4. Is it like you expected? Would you rather have a baby at this age, at summer or winter?
The only annoying part, which I find really frustrating with having a baby in winter, is that you never actually see your baby naked or like the body of the baby, because they're always dressed up in 4 layers, and you never like really physically skin to skin anymore, because there's a lot of focus on that when the baby's newborn. For the first 2 months we were really a lot in bed just relaxing, and now that we're out and about, she has so much clothes on, like beanie, and then what do you call this, like round scarf thing, and then 3 layers on the body, and then an extra suit around, and shoes, and inside a sleeping bag.
There is a lot of hassle.
Yeah, and because the babies freeze instantly, so you need to keep them very packed, protected.
I do feel though that Sakira is a quite tough baby, and that's almost a bit negative for me, because I'm not like you all the time checking whether she is cold or warm, and there has been times where I think I dressed her too cold and she doesn't say anything at all, and then she comes home and I feel that she's quite cold.
Yeah.
And then
Sick.
And then she ends up having a little flu afterwards. But also the opposite, I've like kept her indoor places where I just went quickly, and she's really dressed up and she doesn't tell me, and then I feel and she's like sweating all over. So that's an issue. I mean, she is really not complaining a lot.
Yeah.
And I need to be checking more on her temperature for sure.
And a tip for this, guys, you want to check the temperature of your baby in the neck, and if they're sweating, they're too warm. And then a lot of the times parents just feel the hands, but their hands are mostly always colder than the body.
Right.
So check the neck.
Before we move into cognitive development and parenting challenging, I think it's fun to move a bit where we are in our life, what we're doing. So as we mentioned initially in the episode, we're still in Norway and we're preparing to have our Christmas holidays and New Year's with our parents. I was personally very excited, because I love skiing. I love going on skiing trips. And even though you were quite nervous, I felt very confident about taking Sakira in a pulka. So for those of you who don't know what a pulka is, it looks like a big sled. And normally dogs can pull it or a human can pull it, and it's covered fully with the different sleeping bags and windshield, like a protection windshield.
The baby version of this, but you also have the transportation version, which is more open with ropes.
Right, but there are baby pulkas, and we got to rent one of those, and we went on quite a few long trips. A good friend of us, Giuliano from Brazil, he came to visit us and spend Christmas holidays with us and our family. It was quite fun. there is some really fun videos out there of him trying to ski, which failed massively many times, but he did good.
And our plan for this Christmas was to celebrate it with George's parents and to go on a D&T cabin for New Year's Eve, but celebrate Christmas at his childhood home where we are currently at for those of you joining on video.
And I think that turned out really good. All our Christmases are always very beautiful, apart from the Christmas we did under the rock in Nepal.
That's not really cool trauma. But I'm very happy we chose to celebrate Christmas with your parents because it's their first grandchild, so it's very special for them. And they enjoyed it a lot and helped out a lot. And we're going to touch on this a bit later in the episode also, but it's important to accept help from uncle or aunts or friends or grandparents, in this case for us, and set them up for success. Or maybe we can just touch on it straight up now. Do you have any tips for people on how to set them up for success? Like, what do we do to help your parents take care of Sakira?
I think a lot of first-time parents are afraid of putting responsibilities on the people around them.
Yeah.
And I believe that is an issue that is hard to work with, because for some people it feels easy, for others not. And I think we're a good example where I find it very easy to ask everyone for help.
Yeah.
And you find it hard.
Yeah.
You don't want to
burden people.
You don't want to burden people. And
that's on how I was raised. And I think a lot of Norwegians are raised as well, this way as well, that you're not supposed to ask for help. You're supposed to manage it yourself. But I think in terms of baby, you're actually doing both yourself and the people a favor when you're asking for help, because they really want to.
That's what I wanted to say. I think most people underestimate the value of including best friends and family in that parenthood, because it will connect you on another level once more. And that's how it has been for centuries, that the whole community helps out with new kids. And you also see that in animal life that happens. And I think most people will tell you quite clearly when they cannot or don't want to, but most people find it an entitlement and little honor, and it makes them really glad to be able to help out. So setting people up for helping you out obviously involves a couple of practical things, like bottle of milk for feeding and clothes, and maybe you can even bring some of your common stuff from home. Yeah, clothes from you that carries your scent, or any toys that she's used to. But I think most of the time is spending not making it a full separation first time. Yeah, like invite people home to you or visit them and spend time together, and naturally take distance. Go to the toilet or go for a little walk 5 minutes. And again, for me, that was never really a challenge. For you, maybe more, but I think be systematically about it. Go increasing the time spent you're away slowly. And then my impression is that most babies will get very comfortable very soon.
At this age, I read that a lot of babies don't have any issues with being away a bit from the parents. And then one more thing I want to mention on this topic is that it's important to communicate to the the babysitters what the baby likes, and this changes all the time. For example, when Sakira was 1 month, she had very different needs and things she liked than 4 months. So, for example, at 4 months, she is now starting to eat stuff, which she didn't do at, for example, 3 months earlier.
Well, guys, we have a quite exciting reveal, which has also changed a lot for us in our lives. We have just decided that we want to move from Norway for a while, that Norway is not the right place for us at this time. And that's one of the great things of being nomadic and digitally remote working parents, that we can literally choose like that on the spot. And I just didn't feel that Norway was a spot to be right now. A bit community related, a bit climate related, We were seeking something warmer, and we're seeking something a bit more adventurous and exciting, and also somewhere where we can find our type of people in the community.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to reveal. We have had lots of discussions the last weeks, and we've finally decided where we're heading and how long we're heading there.
So we have been thinking about going to the Philippines, Nepal, Ecuador, and
South Africa.
South Africa. The winner is Ecuador.
So we're going to South America, and we have decided to at least stay for 5 months. We'll be heading out there very soon. We're talking in a couple of days we're leaving. So we're mentally just in like a packing stage, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Luckily, Sakira is in a phase where she is with a lot of family and friends, so she is a bit exhausted as well and likes to sleep in daytime, which makes it a bit more easy. But we wanted to pack in a couple of travel and packing tips as well in this episode. So why don't you get started on that?
Bring as little as possible. Most of the stuff you can, for example, clothes. You don't need to bring clothes for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months worth of what will fit her. You can
bring what you'll wear when she is 7, 8 months. Then it can be a bit too big in the beginning.
Yes.
That's what we are gonna do. I mean, the most of the stuff you put out and packed is gonna be quite big for her now.
Yeah. And like, to be honest, you just fold the hands of it and most of it will fit.
Right. And other things I think is important to mention is, I mean, most people will probably think, what? They're going from home 5 months? But I think it's important to consider that we're all the time on the move. Even though we have been living in Norway for 2 years now, all the time traveling in and out for a couple of months. It never really felt like we're stationary and just going on a holiday trip. So we're very used to move around.
And a lot of people told us during the pregnancy, like, oh, your life is going to change so much. You're going to have to stay a place, blah, blah. But actually, you don't really need to live anywhere physical before the kids start in school.
Or even later. We can talk about that at a later stage.
Yes, but it was very important for us to not lose our essence and ourselves, even though we became parents, which is also one of the reasons we said, okay, let's go.
I think we're going to touch back in later episodes whether it has changed a lot. I still feel like it has changed things in our life, but not to the negative. But I do agree that those people who say like, no, when you get a child, things are going to change. You're not going to be your same self anymore.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. I very much feel myself, and I very much feel that I still remain with the same freedom of choice, but things are going a bit slower. When you gotta move slower.
We are planning to talk more about, like, into detail what we are going to bring to Ecuador when we're in Ecuador and how it worked, for example, for travels, like stroller and stuff like that. But just try to pack as little as possible, because the reality is you will get most of the stuff anywhere in the world. For example, medicine for the baby, extra milk powder and clothes. It's very accessible wherever you are.
One other thing that I think we can both agree on is that we're still very happy with the small stroller we have chosen. We talked about it in a previous episode that we have chosen a very small foldable stroller where also the car seat attaches directly to it. And you have now installed this extra side pieces, which makes that you can take the car seat directly and put it straight on the bottom of the stroller.
Yeah, and called adapters.
Whatever, car seat adapters, stroller adapters, but that is gonna save us so much space going to Ecuador.
Yeah,
and I think obviously it's gonna be quite some stuff. I imagine us going around there with Lola's cage, with the baby, with a couple of bags, but
a lot of stuff, to be honest. So much stuff that I'm not sure how we're gonna get to there.
I think we're gonna figure out that on the day, but I'm quite happy that we've chosen to split up the journey in 3 days.
Yeah.
That's not usual for us. We would normally go for the most low-cost option, sleep on the airport, travel through, be really hard on that. But we have really given ourselves a bit of luck.
Maybe that's what you were referring to when you said that we lost ourselves a little bit in terms of going now instead for economy. We're going for comfort. Because before we would have brought our own food, only bought food from the supermarket, and now we're like, just buy something at the airport. We'll fix it over there.
We actually said, let's not bring food like normal. Let's buy at the airport, and we have never ever done that before. We always bring food, but so we're
quite cheap. Sunnmøring. It's like a term for the West Norwegian people that were not cheap or economic.
Yeah. But so the way we are gonna travel is Ålesund, Oslo, Madrid in one day.
Yeah.
That's also taking time because traveling with a dog like we do, we don't want to leave Lola behind for half a year. You need to split every destination needs to be split, and you need to go out, check in.
Yeah.
Because the airport doesn't want to take responsibility for transiting your pet.
And there's been a lot of horror stories where pets are left behind during transits, and we don't want to experience that, which is also one of the reasons why we take her out and give her.
There is actually no option.
Yeah, but
you have
something ill.
No, it's illegal. Anyway, doesn't matter. We're going to Madrid one day, then we're having a hotel night there.
Yeah.
And then the next day, so we're now into second and a half day of travel. We'll take the flight from Madrid to Quito, which is about 12 hours.
Yeah.
And I know you are a bit anxious, but I think Sakira will be just fine.
It's back to the good girl syndrome in me. I don't want her to scream on the airplane and, ruin the time for a lot of other passengers.
I get that. Well, last topic we want to move into, guys, is cognitive development and parenting challenge. In terms of cognitive, obviously things are moving ahead, but there is no major things to refer to. It's not like she has discovered something crazy big, but she's getting she has a lot of attention to a couple of details, which I think you're going to touch.
Yeah. She loves light. We bought her
what kind of light?
Projector of stars, which she loves watching when she's in her bed.
So you're referring to colorful LED lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but all types of light. It can be like a candle or the lights in the roof. But she loves the red light we have in our bathroom, which is a Philips Hue, and we put it in the tropical mode, and you can literally put her on the floor and she'll stay there 10 minutes and just look at it.
It's also the place where we always change her diapers, so we'll always put Philips Hue in different color modes.
For example, sometimes when she cries and I try feeding her, nothing's helping, I'll just put on the light and put her in the bathroom and she'll stop crying. And other than that, on cognitive, it's kind of a mix of cognitive and physical, but her eyesight is changing a lot. You can really notice that she can see things further away compared to the first months where she could only see our face when we were holding her.
Right. Anyway, at the very end, we're gonna touch into parenting challenge, and I think, I don't know, maybe you have something else to mention, but for me, in terms of Sakira, there aren't really any, but in terms of me, I'm already kind of several times felt that it can be so demanding that I get overwhelmed. It may have something to do that I also have a lot of other responsibilities.
Yeah.
I feel if I had no other responsibilities in life, it wouldn't overwhelm me. But it's the rush of feeling like, oh, but in 1 hour I gotta do this, or in 1.5 hours I gotta have this done. And then immediately she's starting to cry or craving attention. I know that plan is gonna flush away.
For me, it's been a bit hard because we run our own company and we're digital nomads. So even though we have a baby, we're still working. And we had this huge project we're stuck at these months. And I had to do an all-nighter. And it feels like I had to have Sakira on me just to keep her quiet so that I could work. And after those 30 hours of work, I just felt like, what? so much harder to do this really long stretches of work. Luckily, they don't happen very often, but sometimes they do.
I think that's a very honest, nice thing. As you see, being a digital nomad has a lot of freedom. Sometimes you really have to grind it. Obviously, if you were employed somewhere else, that wouldn't happen. You would be in a complete
Protected environment.
maternal leave.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have any responsibilities whatsoever. But I also think it shapes you as a human being, that you have that power and strength,
Very resilient.
to pull through and master those challenges, because suddenly challenge like a baby that cries 1 hour is nothing.
Yeah. And at this point, I was stuck in, when this happened, this all-nighter, I was stuck in Oslo because we had just bought, or our car was at the workshop and didn't get fixed. So I had to stay there for a whole week and staying at my cousin's place. And I remember, she's very, very, very gentle, loving soul. And I remember having to talk with her and explaining to her, I'm going to do an all-nighter. I need you to not freak out so that I can focus on working. And sitting there in her living room or her boyfriend's living room and just grinding all night.
Anyway, I think enough work. If we're gonna have another child or adopt another child, I do think I'm gonna do everything in our power to give us at least a 3, 4, 5 months complete off with no responsibilities. But that's something just not possible. But if possible, I'll try to do that, because that will make life a lot easier. Finally, I think we just have a couple of small notes in terms of finding joy in parenthood. We have enjoyed a lot filming memories, and I think that's something we would really suggest in this time of age where, I mean, most people just, have their storage on their phone or computer, and where to put those files is sometimes an issue, but you'll enjoy film so much more than photos.
Yeah, I feel that photos is nice too, but you can always grab a screenshot from a film, whereas you can't do it the other way around, and you really capture more of the magic and the time you're in with film.
And I do think a lot of parents, after some years, struggle that they lose files or don't find them. So I'm a bit of a nerd, and I have this from work already. But if you don't have, invest a little bit of your money into Google Drive or Dropbox and just make sure to bring all up. Because after 18 years, 20 years, that accumulates, and just keeping it on your phone, suddenly all is gone.
Yeah, it happens sometimes with me. I'm not as nerdy as Georg.
I'll go and back up all her files. Every now and then, every 3 weeks, 1 month, I'll go, have you backed up your files? No. Okay, give me your phone. I'll do it for you.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's it. I think we pretty much covered month 3 and 4. It's been exciting. It's been a lovely time with Christmas and winter break and skiing. We'll definitely make sure to put out some videos from that time.
Just short about the polka. I felt like we almost didn't touch on the skiing part.
What do you have to say?
Well, we did go on many skiing trips with Sakura in the polka. Let's put a photo of it, here, for those joining a video, what it looks like. It's like an egg where you drag the baby inside. And they don't actually recommend doing it before the kids are 6 months, so you need to be very mindful of it. But it felt very safe.
She slept like an angel.
Yes, she slept like an angel, and it was really nice enjoying some skiing, even though we had the baby.
Yeah.
And then obviously grandparents help a lot so that we can go more hardcore trips alone sometimes.
And it was even minus 15, minus 20 degrees.
Yeah.
She did very well. So I think don't be afraid of being outdoor and challenging yourself, but be prepared to turn around and don't.
You're right.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening in. We'll be heading over to Ecuador in a couple of days, and our next episodes will be from there. So we're excited about that and excited to take you on that journey and let you know more about how it went.
Yay. Hear you around.
Bye.
Bye.